What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolved video. So, guys, it's been a while, but I had to figure out what was going on with Uma. So, you guys might have gotten a little taller since I've been gone, honestly. But, I wanted to figure out what was going on with Uma, had to pick up my own stuff, and see what was going on with these decks. I haven't played everything, but, I'm trying to, get some information for you guys to see what's going on with these decks. So, realistically, I'm looking forward to what Uma's going to be, changing the meta wise, with the new starter deck leader having all that access to, quick followers and Storm and everything. But look out for the breakdown video for the Uma leader in the future, guys, because I'm thinking of doing it. So, how I'm seeing it so far with Uma is that, you can mix all the classes together. So you get a mix of everything. And that's good because, you have the strength of dragon, flexibility of forest, the spells from rune. So, when you mash all those things together, you can really build a very, very strong deck. But when you have all those classes together and, you can only rock the, Uma stuff, there are limitations. So, the limit for the couple cards that they have for Uma, and then, just you can only be rocking Uma cards itself. So, you do get the best of both worlds, but it can't be too broken. So let's go ahead and get into the tier list. All right, guys, before we get into the tier list, I want to show you guys what we did for the last tier list. So this is the tier list that we had last time, and judging by how we did it last time, we were giving Abysscraft a little more credit than it needed, because it looked like at first we just needed to figure out what we needed to put in for Abysscraft, and everyone just kind of adapted to, Abysscraft. So Abysscraft wasn't the best deck. It just seemed like it was very, very strong because we got those new cards. And then once the, meta cemented, then we realized that Sword was really just the best deck, which I honestly feel like from that get-go, like, people were sleeping on Sword. And then Leonidas showed face and then showed that the Resolve was just really, really good. And it caught everybody off guard. But we knew the potential of Sword. So Discard Dragons and Haven were definitely fighting for second place in the last two regionals that we've talked about. And, the other decks are just really just outliers and, kind of rogue. That's really what it is. It's the Abyss, the Sword, the Dragon, and then the Haven matchups you really have to watch out for. But, don't discredit the, Earthbright, Runecraft, or, any of the other decks, because they will definitely, sweep you under your feet if you do not watch out for them. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this tier list. So the first one we have is Aggro Abyss. So Aggro Abyss, at first we were thinking, hey, Aggro Abyss is a deck that can really get under your feet. It can sweep you under the rug. Just don't take it lightly, because it's going to hit hard, and it's going to hit hard fast. And, those turns 3 and 4, if they're positioning their followers correctly, they're going to be swinging for a lot of damage, and you can't control it. So it really depends on which version of Abysscraft you're going up against. Are you going up against, like, the Dark General, or are you going up against, like, ghosts swarming you? Like, it's really up in the air what version of Abyss it is. But usually the line is, they're playing the 2-drops or 3-drops, and then they're going with Cerberus to buff them up for those later cards. But, when they get to their end game, that's really where they get very weak, because they don't have a very big hand size unless they see, like, soul conversion into a ghost maybe. But, it's really reliant. They don't draw that much. So Abysscraft hits the gas very hard, and, you can only have so much gas in your car before you run out of fuel. So we're not going to move Abysscraft too far from, tier 1. It's not rogue tier 1.5, but I still believe that it can get in top 8. But in top 3 or top 4, where it needs to be, it's not performing, because every deck that is in top 4 is just, watching you do what you need to do. Hey, you're gonna hit a turn where you're gonna feel very uncomfortable, and I'm going to turn the tables on you. And that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna make a play, you're gonna make a mistake, or something's going to happen on that one turn, and it's going to change the game forever. So most of those decks that are in tier 1 can definitely do that. And Abysscraft, it's kind of linear. I wouldn't say it's too linear. It's just like, hey, I have my aggro cards. I'm playing them on turn ones, two, and three, and then four. It's a surprise what I'm gonna do, but you're really strong on those early turns, and those control decks like Haven can really knock you out. Or if Dragon hits you harder, then it really definitely hurts. But it's really draw dependent on if you get the nuts or not. That's really what it is. So you could definitely be tier one if you draw the nuts. But I'm just gonna put Abysscraft in, well, Abyss Aggro in tier 1.5, just for the fact that you can take it, and there's a chance you can make it. Just if you mill correctly, if you draw correctly, if you can get under their feet and they don't remove your followers. It's all if. So we're gonna put it in 1.5. It's not guaranteed, but there's an if chance. All right, next up, we're going to be talking about D Shift. So, my favorite deck, D Shift. So, I love this deck. I love this deck so much. I want to give it so much credit. But as we're evolving, we did get a couple cards for Uma, but it's not changing. It's not changing what we're doing. We got a follower that draws two. We got our on command Runecraft Angelic Snipe, but I don't think D Shift is as strong as it needs to be. I'm praying that it gets a little bit better, but D Shift, I'm going to have to put it in tier two. It breaks my heart to see that. You can definitely probably top with Room, but seeing as how set two was showing Earthright some more love than D Shift, it seems that D Shift isn't going to get very much support too much throughout the rest of these sets until we get maybe Giant Chimera, maybe. But right now, D Shift didn't get too many good cards. We got Agnes, but Agnes really, it's putting spells back into your hand. So what are you gonna do? Put a Trail of Light back? Like, we have Merlin. So D Shift, we're gonna put it in tier two for right now. All right, next up, and we have the Forte. So this is going to resemble Set One Dragon. So Set One Dragons, or just like linear dragons, none of that discard mess. They lost Shenlong, excuse me. And, having it as a three of was definitely very good. You filtered through your deck, you had the ward, you had the heal, and now it's at one. Now, it's not Shenlong doesn't make or break dragons. So when we got the new Uma card, the new 6-drop, that definitely, like, it's really what made Shenlong go bye-bye, because you play Shenlong on 5, especially if you go second. This is just a scenario if you go second. You play Shenlong on 5, and then you crack the Evo you draw 2 from playing Shenlong, and then you crack the Evo to heal that 5, and then you have the ward, so you ward up with Shenlong. And then that next turn, if they don't deal any damage to you, or get rid of Shenlong, because that's what they're gonna do for that turn, because he's ward, then if they don't swing at you for 5, then hey, look, I'm gonna play my 6-drop Uma follower that heals me 5. So I basically instatued Seraph, and I had a ward, and I feel hella protected. So that's why Shenlong had to go bye-bye. I feel like that was the combo that really, sent it. It was just the power level of dragons just overtaking, being a complete control deck at that point. So I'm glad it's gone. But Set One Dragons is very, very strong. You're not rocking a discard, so there's no, confirmed burn. But Dragons did get some more toys. So we're gonna put Dragons in tier one, because you have the Genesis Dragon, you still have those other cards, and then set two, like, really, like, fermented dragons just being very, very strong. I think the reason why I'm going to put, just regular dragons in tier one is because Forte just carries. Forte carries. If you're just rocking, the 3 of Evos, if you're not playing up against Haven, then you're definitely swinging for life, just rocking 3 Forte Evos. But I might be a madman trying to rock 3 Forte Evos. I mean, it's 7 damage, guys. Just think about it. Like, it's 7 damage that can't be interacted with. I would rock 3 of that. I would abuse the world out of that. So we're gonna put, regular dragons in tier 1. It's not like the deck that's going to beat every deck, but it's just still very strong. and it has the capabilities to, you know, have Forte swing, and then if you leave that one open, then would you like like what are you gonna do? Like I'm gonna blazing breath whatever you play to swing at my uh Forte. So I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy when I have like one or three up after I play Forte. All right, next up. All right, next up we have the Fairy Spam Forestcraft. So his deck is not seen at all. We can talk about this very quickly, and I guess in a competitive standpoint, I mean, I guess watch out for it. But I would just say the guy at locals is probably playing this. You would need to, if you're going to a regional, you would need to watch out for this. People are going to be playing more of the control build for Forest. They got the new card, and we'll talk about it when we talk about the control build. But we're just gonna keep the fairy spam route on the bring this mess to locals, because you should not be seen at a regional with this unless you have a crazy build. You know, show off. You know, pop off kings or queens. Do what you want, but you know, if you sit across from me and you don't do well and you're playing this at like a regional, you know, I don't know what to tell you, but all right, and next up we have the Heavenly Aegis Havencraft, you know, and Statute Seraph build. So, if you don't already know what it is, it's a deck that 100% has tons of removal and gets into the Heavenly Aegis turn, and he evolves and he can't die for a turn. He has aura and doesn't take damage. And, you know, it's definitely hard. It's hard to get through this card because aura is just a crazy keyword skill. I guess it's really crazy to me because I'm a runecraft player and I'm just a control player and I'm used to getting rid of things with spells. And, you know, using those followers is just foreign nature to me. But, you know, with Heavenly Aegis, it's still, I'm going to put it in tier 1. It could probably win a regional. It just you need to see what you need to see. You need to beat Swordcraft, you need to beat Dragons. It has the potential to do that. It's just very awkward. It has a very awkward matchup against Dragons, I can tell you. Because if they drop Forte and then they have the response for your one answer to Forte, then, you know, you're sitting there crying. But we're still going to put it in tier 1 because it has removal. You know, it checks Abyss. It checks Abyss and it can check sword, the incorrect sword build, and then, you know, the correct sword build will definitely give Haven a run for its money. All right, and next up we have the control build for Forestcraft. So it's not just Rose Queen for the control build, because some people rock the Silverbolt line to finish you off with Silverbolt, but you know, Rose Queen is definitely the face of control Forest. So we're gonna put Forest in tier 1.5 just for the fact that it's an outlier. It's an outlier deck. Silent Suzuka is definitely more removal for Forest, and that's what Forest needed, was more removal. And it's a storm follower too. But the downside is she is if you just swing with her for her storm cost without, you know, evolving her, it kind of feels awkward because she's a 4-1. I don't know why they keep giving Forestcraft these storm followers that aren't too good. I wouldn't say, you know, Silent Suzuka is like still good, but it's just not the best, you know, because you know, she's a 4-1 with Storm, and then you have to evolve her to get that, you know, put that to the top card of your deck. It does stall them a turn for draw if their deck doesn't draw too much, but in the fact that it's just a 4-1, just base stats with no evolve, she's a 4-1 with Storm. You can drop on 4, but if your opponent has, you know, any quick spell that destroys them or just pings them for 1, like Angelic Snipe, then, you know, you feel bad. So we're gonna put Forestcraft in tier 1.5. It's definitely the middle child for how much support it's gotten, but I feel like Forestcraft can definitely like probably take locals and then probably win like a regional qualifier. But the right player needs to play it, and you know, the pilot. That's where it all matters, is the pilot and piloting the cards correctly, and make sure your deck is fitted to what this meta is. So make sure you prepare for that if you ever go up against a Forestcraft player, because that Forestcraft player you might play against is probably the scariest person you'll ever meet. All right, guys. Before I get into the next deck or next card, I want to give a disclaimer. I've only gone up against 2 Uma follower decks, but I can see that there's definitely many ways you can build it due to its limitations. I'm just gonna say that the deck's already very strong. Now, as far as it being tier 1, I don't believe so. Now, as far as it being as low as tier 2, I don't think so either. So this deck, I can't even like fathom the words because it can be so versatile. Like you can either go the Daiwa Scarlet route where you're playing the 1 spell for free and then, you know, going for the vodka for getting the storm, or you can go like the Swordcraft route or the amulet follower, and you know, you keep using your special weeks to getting those other followers. You know, you have the Takayateo. You know, you have multiple options for multiple storm followers for, you know, hidden face, and it's very, very strong because, you know, that special week evo gives everything +1/+1. And then there's those neutral followers that do those crazy amount of things. So just for right now, as a Uma, you definitely do have to watch out for that deck because it is easily accessible because you get the starter deck and you can get a good start to it. And if you pick up 2 starter decks, you know, you're already hitting the ground running, I guess, with those extra SLs. So I'm going to put Uma in 1.5. As far as it being tier 1, I feel like the right build can definitely get you into tier 1 and can get you into that top 4 for regionals. So that's one of those decks. Now putting it under force, like, you know, these aren't going to be in order. These aren't going to be in order. But I'm not sure for what the Uma has in potential for in stores of power and, you know, like just deck draw, you know, because you can build it in many types of ways. So we're gonna put it in 1.5 just for its versatility of whatever, you know, the creator can craft. And you know, it has strong cards, but you have to use the cards correctly, guys. So we're gonna put Uma in 1.5. Alright guys, the next deck we're gonna be talking about is the Spellchain Runecraft. So Spellchain Runecraft is very interesting because it doesn't have like a crazy good late game. It's not rocking the Flame Destroyer combo, just for the fact because, you know, D-Shift does that Flame Destroyer combo and then has crazy end game just for taking that extra turn and having that, you know, crazy lethal OTK. But Spellchain is kind of like one of those decks that whittles you down and kind of relies on Runeblade Summoner to swing that 5 that it needs to. And then there's probably some crazy tech that I'm not too sure about yet for the Daiwa Scarlet, excuse me, and the neutral card that brings it back, and the Daria. There's like a crazy combo, but you know, it has to line up. So decks like that, when it has to line up, you should already know it's, you know, it's out there. So, you know, another deck that I can think of where it has to line up and actually works if you get the full thing to work out, D-Shift. And Runecraft not having, or, you know, Spellchain not having that crazy good late game or just the finishers that it needs, it's not what I want for Spellchain, and not what, you know, a winning deck or a topping deck wants. So a topping deck wants is consistency, at least, you know, a good draw, or at least, you know, strong followers. And, you know, with Spellchain, you don't have enough gas to like get you there, and it takes too long. Like there's not enough pitch cards effects or not enough crazy draw effects that help you get to that late game. You can filter through your deck all you want to. It's cute. I like it. But, you know, if you, let's say, hey, you know, I have the 2 of execution, I have it early, I can, you know, use Merlin to get another one out of my deck. The consistency for that is nice. But it falls short to, you know, Haven, where they can just remove everything off your field. You know, nothing sticks. You can't take that second turn. They're always going to have the 4 up for the Acolyte's Light. You struggle against dragons because Forte is a card, and you can run Craig. Craig is like your best answer. But, you know, there's only so much you can do in terms of that, because, you know, the Forte is swinging for 7, so you're taking the 7. Now, in terms of Swordcraft, I am still having problems with this myself. It's that Floral Fencer turn. That Floral Fencer turn, well, especially if it's the Amelia Floral Fencer turn and then into the Unbridled Fury. I might be sounding like old man because it might be different now with Uma, but that's what I've always struggled with, you know, in set 2. is that Floral Fencer turn, because you know they're spamming out all those bodies. Yeah, Fire Chain is nice, but Fire Chain doesn't deal with Floral Fencer. You can Surefire Bullet the Floral Fencer and, you know, deal with that, but that still leaves the Amelia and then the other cards. And, you know, you're only going to turn, you know, 4 or turn 5 next turn. So maybe Alchemical Lord is the answer for Runecraft, but in any other craft, you know, good luck, Charlie. Alrighty, and next up we have Earthright, you know, Dirt. So Dirt has the potential to perform. It has the potential to win, as you can see in set 2. The right deck can win. You know, let's shout out to the Indonesian champ for topping with Runecraft. It definitely, you know, warmed my heart to see Runecraft doing well. I love it when Runecraft tops. It makes me smile every time. So now the question is, where does Dirt sit with Uma? Because there were no, you know, Dirt, like there were no Dirt support. There was no Earthred support with Uma. So it really looked like it was graded towards, you know, spell chain to, you know, make spells free with some followers, and then, you know, drawing two and like discarding, or, you know, making some Uma spells free if you have them. So, you know, it really didn't focus around Dirt or Earthright. So where does Dirt fall, or does Dirt rise? So Dirt was definitely a tier 1 deck. We definitely misguided it on the last one. It's definitely probably was one of the best decks for Runecraft. It gets better in the future. I'm praying that it gets better sooner. Time needs to fly for Dirt to really, you know, flex its colors. But it definitely fell short from tier 1 because it had the potential to just win, or just definitely get top 4 with the right build. So we're going to put Dirt in tier 1.5. It's very, very strong, but with Swordcraft running around as it does, it can definitely get under you, and that Floral Fencer turn really hurts against Dirt. Yeah, you can play the ward, but, you know, with Uma coming out, there's more access to removal. There's more access to followers that can just straight up get rid of your Ancient Alchemist. So even after you, like, and that's the thing about Dirt, it's that it's so follower dependent, and it hurts. It hurts that it's so follower dependent. Because if they get rid of the Ancient Alchemist, okay, well, I'm not going to burn you through that. So I'm going to have to try my best to Demonic Strike Merlin. Well, I'm going to stop your Merlins. Well, you know, there's the reaction, and the Merlin Demonic Strike way is just so expensive, because, you know, that's literally a turn for you. Hey, I'm gonna get Demonic Strike for Merlin. I'm gonna play the Demonic Strike. I'm gonna evil the Merlin for, you know, the extra 6 damage. That's nice. It's cute. I like it, but it's too expensive, and, you know, if you don't finish off your opponent with that, they're gonna crack back on you hard, because that's in the late turns. And if I'm not, you know, the only deck that doesn't thrive in the late turns so far is a Abysscraft aggro, and that's because they thrive in the early game. So we're gonna put Earthright / Dirt in 1.5s because it has the potential to top and the potential to win even. But, you know, with no support, it's definitely fallen short from the other decks. Alright, and the next deck that we have is the Abysscraft Control. So Abysscraft Control wasn't doing too good in set 2, because, you know, it didn't really have like the lines of, hey, you know, you needed Dark Angel Olivia's to heal, to recover, the Soul Dealers to recover as well. So if you went up against a Abysscraft aggro, you didn't really have the terms of the spells. But Abysscraft Control did get 2 cards in Uma that actually make a new version of the deck playable. So there's the hand control route, where, you know, you have Nice Nature that gives it -1/-1, and whenever, you know, Nice Nature dies, its last words is your opponent discards a card. Well, funny enough, Azazel also says that, you know, when you play him, your opponent randomly discards a card. Well, with those 2 things, just, you know, as, you know, 3 ofs, that's 6 cards in your deck that already make your opponent discard card. So Nice Nature can -1/-1 those early aggression cards. And then in the mid to late game, you know, if she's going to ping something down, you can race her and swing her into a follower. So You know, even if they even trade, as long as Nice Nature dies, she does something. So you can remove the follower, and you can remove a card out of your opponent's hand. So you're definitely controlling their board and controlling their hand, and you basically set up Azazel to where they have nothing left, or they're out of resources, and you just snipe them down to 10, and then you snipe them from 10 to 0. So that's usually the play it goes. Now I'm still testing my version of the deck. I need to post the list. I'm sorry that I haven't posted the list yet, but I did make a template one. If you guys check out my Abysscraft hand control video, that's probably what it's going to look like. That's just a good template. But if you want to see my final list, you know, guys, give this video some likes, and you know, let me know if you want to see it. I will definitely post it in a breakdown, and I will break it down to you guys. But we're deviating from the situation of where does Abysscraft control lie with this new cards and what they can do. So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it was tier 3 with just set 2. But for this set with the new control, it has some potential. As potential of it regionally like topping, I'm not sure. I'm going to put it as an outlier because I don't know where it's going to sit in comparison to, like, you know, Haven and Dragon. Because if you're going up against discard, you're discarding more cards for them, and they definitely had a turn where they're like, all right, well, I've discarded this many cards. Now my hand size is low, and you can capitalize off of that. But, you know, with old dragons, you know, they're going to be playing, you know, they're going to be ramping, and they're going to get into those big followers. So even though they are ramping, they are using cards and not refilling their hand. So you can, if you're rocking Executioner, you can snipe that Forte before she snipes you for 7. You can, you know, use Azazel. Well, just focus on your Necro Charge. You know, just deal with every follower that comes out on the field. Snipe the Forte, and then, you know, start going from there. So it really has some potential. But when I use these different, you know, situations like that, you know, there's nothing that keeps it consistent. I can't, you know, play a follower and go through my deck and get a follower that does this and, you know, judge by the situation. I'm just drawing, and then, you know, I'm praying that I see my discard cards. So we're going to put Abyss Control in tier 1.5. It's better than Rune. Better than those 2 Rune decks. It's not better than Dirt, I don't think, because Dirt, oh, you know, it just has the burn damage, so they just need the golems. But, you know, if you hand control right, then, you know, you're definitely gonna win the game. Your opponent's sitting at 2 cards in hand, or, like, you know, 1. You know, you're definitely controlling the game at that point. So we're gonna put Abysscraft control in 1.5. All right, next up we have one of probably the strongest decks that we have for dragons, and it'll be Discard Dragons. So people are rocking hybrid builds of the Discard Dragons with the old dragon stuff. So old dragon stuff is linear. It still has potential to do the best that it can to get top 4. Discard Dragons also has that potential. So we're gonna put Discard Dragons in tier 1. We put the other decks in tier 1 just for the fact that, you know, it's not consistent, or, you know, we don't know how well it'll perform because there's so much you can do, or it's just draw dependent. Discard Dragons, it says, you know, hey, I still have my Shenlong. I can still play all my other Dragoncraft followers. I got new support because, you know, discard with the new 2-drop, you know, you can discard a card and then deal 2 damage to them. You know, I'm not a residential, you know, dragon player, but I know them getting more followers for Discard Dragons just helps with hybrid even more. So if you print strong cards for support, you know, we lost Shenlong, but we got the new 6-drop. So, you know, it's still hand in hand. Dragons is still daddy. They're still the daddy of the crafts. Now, just because you're the king piece doesn't mean you're the powerful, you know, you're the most powerful deck. And that leads us into our next deck. So we have Queen Tokayoteo. So we have no questions about this. Swordcraft being in tier 1 because Swordcraft is still doing what it does. There's nothing that's changed too much from Uma. They got a new card. They got 2 new cards that really help. They have the Narita Bryan that's has a whole bunch of skills on her. Ridiculous. and she has Bane. I know she has Ward, Bane, and Aura, and that's just enough. That's just enough. That's the rune's kryptonite. It's every follower that swings into it like dies, and just that plus more. And then took out Teo with its evolve being a storm, and then its regular just being a spell that helps remove for sword, so that it just helps sword even more. So sword got, I wouldn't say it got brokenly stronger, but it got very stronger and it has consistent removal. It's still strong with Amelia into the flow fencer play. That's still happening. The novice troopers are still coming at you for 3. We still rock Leonidas just for Leonidas' resolve. And Swordcraft, I'm not gonna, it's running, I wouldn't say it's running rampant right now, but nothing's truly checking Sword, because Sword is always gonna find what they need in whatever situation that they want. Like, hey, I need to get a Swordcraft follower. Well, congratulations, like, my whole deck is Swordcraft followers, besides like what, maybe a neutral spell or a neutral Olivia I might have, if we still even run that in the deck. So that's how I feel about Swordcraft. I don't feel as strongly as I do feel about Forte about it, but Swordcraft is still strong. It's winning. It's doing results at regionals, and I would not be surprised if we go to the regional qualifier, the LCQ, and see a whole bunch of Swordcraft players playing, because this deck is very strong. It does what it needs to, and the right pilot will pick out the right card at the right time to know what the deck's gonna do next, and dominate. So this is the this is the tier list, guys. I enjoyed making this tier list. I want things to shake up for set 3. I know Forestcraft is definitely gonna get a buff with that Beauty and the Beast stuff. Fingers crossed for some good D-Shift support. I know Wizard of Oz is gonna be a little weird, because it's like dirt stuff, but I appreciate you guys listening. I love you. Make sure you're safe with whatever you're doing tonight, and safe with whatever you're doing for the rest of the year. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
I gave you all my love, baby, my heart is cold when you're around. You warm it up, liquid gold, baby, yeah, you warm it up, liquid gold, baby, and my affection, all that paper you wasted. Take my love.